Again, guys, if you haven't heard, that will just be strictly just a Tampa-based and Florida-based podcast. So you will not be hearing about the Patriots and the Red Sox and the Wolverines and everyone outside of the state of Florida. You will be hearing mostly about the Lightning, the Rays, the Bucks, the Bulls. Will be stuff like that that's in the Tampa Bay area. That will be what that podcast will basically be about. I hope you guys that like this podcast will come over and join me on that one as well. I also will talk about the Gators, the Knowles, the Knights, the Hurricanes, everyone else in the state of Florida as well, the Heat, the Magic. I will talk about all that as well as we, what's up, Rich? But, I'm going to talk about those guys as well, guys. So that's going to be just strictly a Florida-based podcast. There will not be any national stuff on talking about that. And I'm going to do that, guys, on Mondays. I asked earlier in the week what time would be good. I'm going to do that Monday. I'm probably going to start Mondays, guys, from like 7 to 8. I'm going to have a little bit more information about that next week. Well, I'm looking forward to it, my brother. I'm going to, I'll have a little bit more information to share with you guys next week. Again, the next time you see me on this show or on the Tampa Talk, I will be a year older. My birthday is coming up this Monday, so I will be a year older, guys. Again, I just want to give a shout out to all the people that download the podcast, that come on here on Facebook Live and talk to me, that, come on TalkShoe and talk to me on there. People that call in this show, thank you guys for that. That's why I keep doing this. Again, I'm going to be doing 2 podcasts starting on October 7th. I'm looking forward to that, of getting another podcast started and stuff like that. I'm hoping my man John Blaine will be joining me in about an hour and 15 minutes from now to talk about the WWE. If you guys are interested in that, stay on board. If not, that's okay. No big deal. You guys can hop off and hop back on as much as you want. I appreciate you guys coming on, even if you're on here for 5 seconds just to peek in and say hello. That's cool too. That's fine with me. Like I said, I'm not, making you guys sit here and sit through an hour of show. If you don't want to do that, that's up to you. But anyway, guys, let me go ahead and get into college football. I know there are a lot of people out there that had some interesting games last week. So let me go ahead and try to pull up the scores here, guys. I'm going to pull up the scores from last week. Let's see here. Let's see, we can go to ESPN. I see Rich says Go Knowles. They had a very, very close game again last week. So they have who do you guys play this week? Rich, who are the Knowles playing this week? Let's see. I know my man Adam doesn't really want to hear it, but the Michigan Wolverines got decimated last week by Wisconsin. Not good, guys. Not good for Michigan. They looked flat. It was disappointing, just to say the least, to see that happen. Just the unfortunate thing is I got to see that full force, guys. I was here, NC State, okay? I was here on opening night when Wisconsin came down here to play USF, and I had some friends in the stands that were Wisconsin Badger fans. They were there. They were happy that the Badgers won. I think Cole, it's going to come to that. I think there will be some changes at Michigan. But I saw Wisconsin single-handedly while they were here, and it was hard because as a press credential writer, you can't leave the game. And I've explained this to people in person. If your team's getting beat and you have a ticket and you didn't spend too much on the ticket, you can leave the game. If it's at home, you're at home and you're playing and you're watching it on TV, you could change the channel. What it is, so be it that way. But for the most part, it's hard when you're sitting there and you have to watch your team get dismantled, and I know what Adam feels like because I watched the game last week and stuff like that, so I know what he was going through this past Saturday when the Badgers just decimated Michigan. I watched a little bit of that game. I was back and forth, of course, from the Florida-Tennessee game as well. Yes, Rich, I did hear that as well, but I think he squashed that. I think he squashed that whole Florida State. I could be wrong though. Don't quote me on that. But I'm going to move on, guys. The game that kind of surprised me actually kind of happened last Friday when USC beat Utah. I have Utah guys still winning the Pac-12, even though I know they lost to USC. That's a tough loss early in the season. But then again, if you lose early, it's better than losing late. Another Friday game was Boise State, who earlier this year came back to beat Florida State, and they won this past week 30-19 over Air Force. The number one team in the country, Clemson, played Charlotte. They won 52-10. The number two team in the country, Alabama, hammered Southern Miss 49-7. So that was another thing, another big win. The big game was on Saturday night between number 3 Georgia and number 7 Notre Dame. The Bulldogs were able to hold on and beat Notre Dame 23-17, who I think could be the team that knocks off Alabama on the SEC West side is LSU, as they dismantled Vanderbilt 66-38. Ohio State could win the Big Ten now. They got to be the favorite moving forward. They beat Miami of Ohio 76-5 in a beatdown. Auburn had a tough game against the Aggies in College Station. They upset them 28-20. I was talking earlier, guys, about the Florida-Tennessee game. I watched that game in its entirety. The Gators won 34-3. Kyle Trask looking very good in his first start, as now we come to Townsend this week before they move into the meat of the schedule. They have, of course, if you're not a Florida Gator fan, you have Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, then Georgia in the next 4 weeks. That's going to be a tough slang moving forward in that. Again, like I said earlier, Wisconsin beat Michigan 35-14. That score will probably be a little bit more, it looks a little bit more, disturbing than that. Texas beat Oklahoma State. That was a Saturday night game, 36-30. That's a big win for the Longhorns. The upset that I really appreciate, I want to thank all my Pitt Panther fans out there for beating UCF 35-34. That was pretty dang awesome. That they beat UCF, so that happy for the Panthers on a trick play. Oregon beat Stanford 21-6. Now that's another team that could win the Pac-12 as well. UCLA beat Washington State 67-63. That was an upset at the time. Virginia beats Old Dominion 28-17. Washington beats BYU 45-19. Cal beat Ole Miss 28-20. Colorado beat Arizona State 34-31. SMU will be playing USF this week. They beat number 25 TCU 41-38. Hang on just a second, guys. Let me get up and do something here real quick. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Sorry, guys, I had to fix something there. So that's basically the schedule there, kind of review of week 3. But again, there are some games coming up, guys, this week as well. Let's take a look and preview the games coming up in week 5. Like I said, USF will play SMU. Florida plays Townsend, so that's not going to be too much Penn State will go to Maryland. Maryland was supposed to be a talk of the town in the Big Ten, but they have a tough task with Penn State. That's coming up, guys, tomorrow. It's tomorrow's game. Arizona State will play Cal. They'll have to go to Cal to play the Cal Bears. And then Saturday, you got Texas Tech at number 6, Oklahoma. Northwestern will travel to Madison to play the Wisconsin Badgers. Middle Tennessee will travel to Iowa to play the Hawkeyes. Rutgers will travel to the Big House in Ann Arbor to play the Wolverines. College Station, Texas A&M will travel to Arkansas to play the Razorbacks. Clemson's going to have an interesting game against North Carolina. That should be an interesting ball game. Ole Miss will travel to Tuscaloosa to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. Virginia will travel to South Bend to play Notre Dame. USC will go on the road to play Washington. That's going to be a battle of Pac-12 teams there. Indiana is on the road to play number 25 Michigan State. Like I said earlier, Townsend will travel to Gainesville to play the Florida Gators, which this will be the second time this year that the Gators will be paying a team $500,000 to come play them as they play the UT Martin Skyhawks. Also got that for coming to Gainesville. Mississippi State will travel to Auburn to play the Tigers. UConn will be on the road in Orlando at the Bounce House to play UCF. Kansas State will play Oklahoma State on the road. Ohio State goes to Lincoln to play Nebraska. And Washington State travels to Salt Lake City to play the Utes this week. So, guys, that's kind of the wrap-up there. And, yes, I would say, Cole, yes, either them or Oregon. I would have to say one of the two because, like I said, Utah losing to USC, that's going to hurt them. And, yes, Rich, Hornibrook transferred from Wisconsin, so he has got to be the quarterback for FSU moving forward if they want to win. So they have NC State this week. So moving forward, you have to make sure that he starts as the quarterback. He sure did look pretty damn good last week in their win. Again, guys, the question I have to you, Rich, is can FSU continue to score a lot of points in the first half and then barely scrape by in the second half? Can they do that all year? Because that's what I want to know. Because you're going to run into the Clemson sooner or later. You're going to run into Florida. Miami still got you on the schedule. So, how is that going to affect you guys moving forward? How's that going to work? I'm just curious as an FSU fan. If Jacob Eason stays consistent. Yeah, Cole, I also think too, man, look out for Oregon because the Ducks seem to always be there. They're going to have a top pick too. So, no. Okay, thanks, Rich. Okay. They cannot consent. Okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to move to the NFL, back to week 3. I know all my NFL fans out there. I'm going to move back here to week 3. This is actually good because I'm going to get a lot of my topics in before I talk to my man coming on here. Last week, guys, of course, the Thursday night game was the Jaguars beating the Titans 20-7. That was a kind of surprise to me. The whole Jalen Ramsey drama is still going on in Jacksonville. But Minshew, their quarterback, he looked pretty good, guys. Looks pretty good as a backup moving forward for that. The Bengals fall to 0-3 as the Buffalo Bills beat them. The Bills, they're 3-0, guys. Buffalo might be the real deal, man, this year. The Dallas Cowboys, who are yes, definitely keep your foot on the gas. The Cowboys won 31-6 over the lifeless Dolphins. They are definitely a favorite, and right now, if the Packers defeat the Eagles tonight, the Cowboys will have the front running going forward in the NFC East. The Packers, who are on tonight playing, they won 27-16 at home. They moved to 3-0, and they are looking pretty good again. The Indianapolis Colts, they snapped a 5-game home losing streak, beating the Falcons 27-24. They look pretty good, guys. They're 2-1 without Andrew Luck so far. That's not too bad. The battle between the Heisman Trophy winners went. I'm sorry, that was